There's just like a button at the bottom.
Like, how are we a year into COVID and I'm still not well?
It's okay. I don't use Zoom too often myself, so it's okay. No worries.
Okay. All right. So y'all can see this. All right. Awesome. So thank you so much for having me here virtually for this Food Revolution discussion. Super stoked to talk about the Chef Ann Foundation, and I think it's just the perfect day to talk about how what we do intersects with sustainability and food systems and all of that good stuff. Oh, no, there we go. Okay. So who we are. So we are actually, you were close, Anna. We are actually based primarily in Boulder. But since COVID, we've just sort of realized that we can be based anywhere. So some of our team members are in different parts of the country. But as an organization, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we have programs, tools, and resources that promote whole ingredient scratch cooking in schools, and that enables schools to serve healthy, tasty meals so that kids are well fed and ready to learn. So some of our impact on healthy school meals so far since 2009, we have reached 3.2 million children across the country. This is all nationwide. 12,375 schools. Through our programs, we have granted 5,641 salad bars. And then through our lunchroom education, our Project Produce program, we have impacted 98,501 students and then filled over 1,150 online course seats for the School Food Institute. Okay, so how our work intersects with sustainability and the environment. So basically what we do is we train school food professionals and school food teams to serve better, healthier scratch cooked food. And a lot of people wonder, like, why is scratch cooking so important? You know, like, what is scratch cooking? So for anyone who's unfamiliar, scratch cooking is basically cooking with whole, fresh ingredients, real whole foods. And you can do that at home, definitely. Oftentimes scratch cooking is associated with doing that like home cooking, home cooked meals. But at the same time, that's actually what our school meals used to be made of. Like back in the day, school meals used to be cooked from scratch, and then through a lot of different social and technological and agricultural revolutions, we have kind of ended up in this spot where so much of school food is really processed and it's really heat and serve. There's not too much cooking. It's more like processed frozen food that is just sort of being heated up. And while that is, you know, filling bellies and kids might not be hungry, it's super important that what kids are being fueled with is healthy food. So in terms of some fresh food initiatives, we're going to talk about salad bars, fruit and veg access, and scratch cooking. So our salad bar program, we basically grant out a salad bar to schools. It's literally what the name of the program is, salad bars to schools. And that originally was a partnership with with Michelle Obama's Healthy Hunger Free Kids Initiative. Back in, I think, like 2009. I don't know the exact year, so don't quote me on that. I'm realizing this is being recorded, but it was around the Obama era time. And so we partnered with them to pretty much grant salad bars to schools so that children have access to fresh fruits and veggies. So there's a lot of research that shows that access to a salad bar increases kids' consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables. And it also allows kids to take what they want rather than like being forced to eat a fruit or vegetable that they maybe have never even heard of or seen and have no interest in. So it kind of is also really empowering for students. And then in terms of some other fresh food initiatives, we also push really hard for school breakfast and breakfast in the classroom. This is because a lot of kids, believe it or not, like end up going to school and they haven't had any breakfast yet. And it is really hard to focus on school and learning and all this challenging stuff and stay engaged if, you know, you're hungry. This is true of an adult or a kid. But when you're hungry or you're undernourished, it's really hard to focus and it's not great for your body. And so we really like to encourage that schools serve breakfast, and we have tools and resources on our website that help them do that. And another fresh food initiative that we have is sustainable lunchrooms. So this basically means that we give schools different tools and resources that they can use to make their lunchrooms more sustainable, which is to say that we want their lunchrooms to be more environmentally friendly. So instead of, for example, having like mini packets of ketchup and mustard or different condiments and stuff, we advocate for using like bulk containers. And so some of what I'm talking about is not COVID friendly. A lot of this is pre-COVID stuff. But I think we're all hoping we're going to get to some sense of normalcy from before COVID. And that is definitely one of those things. So bulk containers, using dishwasher safe trays, and just trying to reuse things as much as possible, because 30 million children eat school lunch every day. Over 30 million kids are part of the National School Lunch Program. And that's just so much, it can be so much waste, but it's also a huge opportunity to limit waste and everything. And that is a good segue into the scratch cooking part of things. So an amazing thing about scratch cooking is that rather than having something that's prepackaged, scratch cooking allows for someone to choose the individual ingredients and then choose where they get those ingredients from. So ideally we can shoot for really high quality ingredients, high quality meats that are free of like antibiotics, fruits and veggies that are free of pesticides and everything. And so with scratch cooking in schools, we have the power to implement basically like higher quality meals for a large majority of students. And so this is really important, not just for sustainability, environmentally, but also for like long-term sustainable health. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. Okay.
And Allison, we
What was
can't see your screen. It's like stuck on, like I can see myself and then I think your background desktop. So I think you need to share your PowerPoint, because I think we're just looking at your desktop.
I'm so sorry.
No. I just wanted to let you know because we can't see the PowerPoint.
Oh, shoot. Okay. I don't know.
So when you share your screen, there's like options of what you can share.
Yeah.
So you should click on the Zoom, like not the Zoom, but you should click on whatever you opened up your PowerPoint on.
Yeah. You know what I did is that I moved you guys. I switched monitors, and I think it
Oh.
mirror whatever is on my like the
Yes, so click on that. Yes, now we can see it.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're just looking at my vision board.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elisa. I was trying to figure out how to explain that, but thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
I can share her slides too with anybody after the fact.
Yeah, and almost everything I've said the last 5 minutes has just been on this one page. But I did have, these are the stats that I mentioned earlier, if anyone wants to like screen grab quickly. Sorry about that. Thank you. Okay. So I was around here. Okay. So scratch cooking allows for using high quality, nutritious, and local ingredients. And then another thing that we advocate for is reusables, like I mentioned, and then bulk milk as well as bulk condiments. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen those, like they actually have a nickname, they call them steel cows. And they're basically just like very large milk dispensing machines. And that allows for a school to not have to use single serve milk cartons. Okay. So I love this graphic. This is from our friends at Friends of the Earth. So we call this the burger swap. So basically it's the idea that small school food shifts can really make a difference. So swapping out just one burger one day a month, a beef burger with a black bean burger or a lentil patty or something that's more plant-based, is the equivalent of 22,000 cars off the road for 1 year, 1.7 million tree seedlings grown for 18 years, and 26,000 residential solar systems for 1 year. So that's basically saving 220 million pounds of carbon dioxide emissions, which is a really big driver of climate change. And basically school meals really have the power to just take small shifts and make like a really big positive influence on the whole world. And so scratch cooking can help increase sustainability because of the potential to incorporate more plant-forward recipes and ingredients. So sometimes plant-forward items are kind of hard to come by in the heat and serve processed food world. But when you scratch cook as a district, you are able to create those meals yourself and choose your ingredients. And then the Chef Ann Foundation comes in because we offer hundreds and hundreds of recipes for schools to use that are all free on the lunchbox.org. And so anyone from a school district or outside of a school district could go on the website, search for a recipe, and say they see like a spaghetti carbonara, and they're like, this looks easy enough, I can implement this in my district. And they can actually scale the recipe. So put like how many students they are hoping to serve with that recipe. And then the recipe is automatically scaled with the quantities that they need for that. So we try and make it super easy for districts to implement healthier options in scratch cooking. And then also on the note of plant forward meals, plants take fewer resources like water and energy to produce than meat. So that is why incorporating plant forward meals has the potential to save a lot of greenhouse gas emissions that otherwise are just being more and more plugged into this earth that we are trying to save. Okay, so I cannot take credit for this quote. This actually came from someone that I spoke with for a blog about Earth Day that I recently wrote. And she said that food is a driver of climate change, but it is also a solution. So like I mentioned, over 30 million children eat school lunch every day. And so that is like 30 million opportunities to be serving healthier food, better quality food, and ensure that we are having a positive role to play in shifting toward reducing food waste, offering healthier food to schools. And so that is contributing to not only the health of the planet, but the health of all of these students who are going to grow up to be hopefully healthy adults. And that is all. I'm so sorry that half my presentation was not the presentation. But yes, any questions?
I have questions. So how does it work for schools to work with you guys? Do they reach out? Do you seek them out?
Yeah, so it's kind of a mix a little bit. So we have we have some core programs. So we have the Lunchbox, which is that online tools and resources hub. So no one really needs to like reach out to us to access that. It's totally free. It's the only national online free resource hub for scratch cooking in schools. And then we have Salad Bars to Schools. So that is a grant program. And that does involve schools applying for a grant. And right now we have a huge wait list, which is a good and a bad thing because there's like over 400 schools who want to put salad bars in their cafeterias. But at the same time, it's good to show that we have that need. And then for our School Food Institute program, those are our online courses. And that's schoolfoodinstitute.org. And so anyone can sign up. It's not just for school food professionals. We have a course called School Food 101, and that's exactly what it sounds like. It's an introductory course about school food and kind of how it works. We've talked to a lot of schools, and we hear from the majority of them that a lot of parents or teachers like want to make school food better, but they might not really understand like how the whole system works, and it's super complex. So that School Food 101 course is really great to just sort of dip your toes into that whole world. And then our last program is Get Schools Cooking, and that's another grant program. But unlike Salad Bars to Schools, where it's like you apply, we accept your application, we have the funding for it, we give you a salad bar. With Get Schools Cooking, it's a 3-year program, and we open up applications every 18 months, and we choose like about five to six school districts to work with that are anywhere in the country, and they have to meet certain criteria. And then we work with them basically to take their program from heat and serve processed food to a scratch cook model. And that's not necessarily to say that we guarantee that in 3 years, you can be going from serving heat and serve food every day to 100% scratch cooked food. Depending on where a school is at on the continuum of like heat and serve, on like that dial of heat and serve to fully scratch cook, we assess where they're at and we give them recommendations and then like a hefty grant to actually help them implement all of the changes that we hope that they can implement. So hopefully that answers your question.
It does. It's so cool what you do. I'm wondering if do you guys also track like information about participation in school meals, like after districts participate in your programs? So after they implement the more scratched food.
Yeah, you know what? That is a really good question. And we actually have been working with the Gretchen Swanson Center for Nutrition. I know it's Gretchen Swanson. I think it's Center for Nutrition. And they're an organization that we're working with to evaluate our Get Schools cooking districts. So I think that we have like maybe a most recent report somewhere on our website. I don't know offhand like numbers for you, but I can say that yes, we definitely want to show that by going through, not just going through the program, but like making all the actual shifts to their school food operation, that participation does increase. However, I do feel like it's important to mention that sometimes, more often than not, initially when a lot of these healthier food changes are made, sometimes participation drops initially. And like it's kind of, when you explain it, it's easy to see. Like a lot of times students, they may be getting like very poor quality food, but they enjoy it. It's what they're used to. It may be similar to what they're eating outside of school. And so when you come in with like a lentil patty, they're like, what is this? So then they might stop participating in the program. That's actually what happened with Chef Ann Cooper, who founded the Chef Ann Foundation. She did this in Boulder Valley School District. And for a while, she made these changes super fast and she just like went for it, which is not feasible for a lot of districts. But she went for it. And I think the first year, like she was getting pushback from parents. Everyone was so upset because she got rid of chocolate milk, and participation dropped way low. And they were like, why did we call this lady in to do this again? And then they saw that over time, scratch cooking actually really brings out like real food and flavor and introduces kids to things that eventually, when they start eating it and start recognizing what real food is, they eventually want to eat that food. So
Thank you for sharing that. I love that story because I think that's so important that we don't just like completely do an overhaul on the foods that our students love to eat so that they just kind of stop eating it. It's really important. So
right, yeah.
yeah.
You can't get rid of like kids' favorites because it's like this well-known thing that so many kids are picky and stuff. And so even with my kiddo, I'll be like, here's a plate of vegetables, but also like you can have a little bit of mac and cheese because I know that you're gonna eat that.
Right.
Like always have to kind of have a balance when you're initially introducing healthier food.
Would you say that that's the biggest challenge in implementing like a scratch or a change to a scratch cooking program is the students eating it? Or do you guys work with the schools to manage like the difference, like costs involved, or
Well,
what do you think are
that's a good
the challenges?
question. I can talk for a little bit just about those barriers. So that is definitely a barrier. I would say one of the initial, because for that even to be a barrier, you have to be cooking, you have to be serving the scratch cooked food. But to start serving the scratch cooked food, you really need to have the infrastructure, and then the finances have to be, projected and in place, and there has to be buy-in from the school community, from school district administrators, because I'm sure as much as like many food service directors at schools wish that they could just make all the decisions for their program and put all the money towards like awesome, good quality food, that's not usually how it happens. And so another barrier that I mentioned is the infrastructure. So you need kitchens to cook, and not just kitchens. Like many schools have kitchens, but they have kitchens that have like a microwave, but you need kitchens with like stoves and ovens and mixers and all kinds of stuff. So that's good. That's where our programs come in. There's like something for everyone on each level of that continuum. So I think once you get through the barriers of like the financial aspect of things, as well as having kitchens and actual kitchen equipment, which is tied into finances, of course, then it's about marketing that healthy food to students. And so that is its own challenge. And we have a whole bunch of resources to get kids to try foods, and all of our recipes on the lunchbox that we provide that are free are also kid tested. So nothing has been put on there that hasn't been tested in at least the Boulder Valley School District. But we're trying to branch out and do some recipe testing at other districts in different areas with like different demographics.
I have a question about how you implement it. So obviously you're taking schools that are on different spectrums of scratch cooking and IW. I know you talked about the finances and then also the kids buy-in, but how about like the cooks themselves? So how do you go about training people who have been used to only serving IW heat serve food to all of a sudden being actual cooks?
Right. I know that's a huge thing. There's so many, that is totally a barrier for sure, is that along with needing a kitchen with a stove and an oven and equipment to cook with, you also need people who know how to cook. And so that's actually what our School Food Institute program is for. And then we also have some programs that are in the works that I'd love to talk about. But with the School Food Institute, I mentioned that School Food 101 course, but we also have courses that apply to all the different like pillars of scratch cooking in schools, which are, let me see if I can remember them off the top of my head. So food, finances, facilities, human resources, and marketing. And so the human resources part is like that staff part. And so we like to try and partner with like state departments or even just like county departments and try to find opportunities to actually give scholarships for the School Food Institute, because it does, it costs. It's one of our costly programs. And so through that, there are all these different courses that staff can actually take to like learn how to cook and everything. And it's not the same as like, it's not like a Scoffier, like a culinary school online or anything, but it's going to give a school food professional like what they need to start actually cooking from scratch, as opposed to just heat and serve. And then one of the programs I'd love to mention is we're working on this partnership with California community colleges. And so it's very much like in its infancy stages, this program. And so we are partnering with the California Community College, I think, Foundation, and so that we can get students who are in college, in community colleges throughout California, to do like an internship or a fellowship sort of deal at participating school districts, so that we can start to like create that pipeline of like, you're in culinary school at a community college, like consider working at a school district. So many people I think just kind of overlook that it could be a viable career option for them. And so this program is totally addressing like exactly that, like trying to get people into that workforce who like are working on those skills to actually cook.
Thanks for mentioning that. I was going to ask too, for our students who might be interested in working in a career like yours, like what advice would you have for them?
Well, a career like mine, like what I do, or like it for like working in school.
Or working for school nutrition, or for the chef, like a place like the Chef Ann Foundation.
Advice I would say is to, let me see. I want to be succinct but profound. I would say for sure to keep options open and like try different things, in terms of there's actually so many different areas you could work in this field. So you could, like, if you're interested in cooking, you could cook for a school district, or you could like serve for a school district, and then like school districts desperately need more like registered dietitians and nutritionists. And so going into nutrition, you don't just have to be a registered dietitian for a doctor office or something. Like you could do it for a school district and impact a bunch of kids. And so I think just trying and seeing like where your interests lie, like there is very likely a place in the school food system that you could enter and have an awesome really fulfilling career.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Any other questions? Miss Gallagher or Daisy, any questions, guys?
No, but thank you for all the information. Okay, I'm hoping that my students will be able to interact with the foundation in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I hope so too. I think the only hard part is that we don't, so many people think that we get to like talk to and work with and interact with kids. And I think that's like the one thing that I wish we got to do like every day, because our work directly impacts kids, but I am like jealous that you all get to actually like work with students and everything. So we're all impacting kids in a really positive way, but in our own different ways.
It's true. I mean, students are definitely the best part of our job. That's why this year's been hard. We miss them. But yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with us and sharing this information. I think it's such incredible, fun, exciting work you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for asking me to come in on one of these. I was excited to talk about CAF, and I'm always open for questions. So if you want, you can share my email, or it's just Allison, spelled like it is on the Zoom here, at chefandfoundation.org. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And we're always looking for new ways to like collaborate and further our mission. So we're open to different ideas and stuff.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll share her slides and her contact information if anybody needs it.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Should I stop the recording and the share?
Sure. You can. Thank you.
Yes. Oh,
Thank you so much.